Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
The
Hey.
ladies
Where are you?
are back. How you doing,
We're back.
everybody? Hey,
Good to
how
see
you
you,
doing?
ladies.
Good to
Yeah,
see you guys.
it seems like we've been gone longer than 30 days, hasn't it,
You're
ladies?
I
right. It's been a
know.
lot going on, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has been a lot going on.
time is really like it's so unpredictable. It feels like it's all crunched in. Somebody did a meme where it said January, February, quarantine, December, like all those months just
All
smushed
that one
together.
big thing.
And so it's like
Yeah,
hard to keep track of the time.
yeah,
For
it
real.
is.
Mhm.
Yes. We've got some people that jumped on right away. Hey, Felicia, Curtis, how you
Oh,
doing?
hey, Felicia.
JL Brown, our
Hey, JL.
stand-in
Hey, lady.
supporter. Hey,
Drew
you
Israel.
joined us.
Hey,
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 Drew.
Drew.
family.
Yeah, hey, fam. Yep,
Mhm.
we
Love
are.
the music.
Yes. Thank you, Tom and Dacia. We don't know what we would do without them, but thank you. They are our true supporters in the background. Hey, let's see who else we got. Okay, all right. So, but you say you're doing well, Sheila. How you been doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just hanging on, taking it one day at a time, and it's been busy. I'm really grateful that I got some time to spend with family. I think there were a couple of days in December where I
Yeah.
had all of my children and their um, children together, so it was really a blessing. Everybody was well, and so the journey continues.
Yes. As long as we got the breath of life in us, the journey does
Yeah.
continue. How
This
about
is
you,
true.
Marguerite?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Just doing the regular routine over here.
Yeah,
Seeing
yeah,
my massage clients and taking care of the household. Pretty
yeah, yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to give you a little
What about
plug for
you?
the what is that? The CBD.
Oh yeah, girl, how's it been going?
Well, let me tell you,
I appreciate your
it's been
support,
going
and I'm
well.
glad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad it helped. A lot of people say the same thing. They're
yeah,
getting some
yeah.
good sleep.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So anybody that's looking for some way to just relax naturally and not
Yeah.
have all those other things in there that gets us in trouble with our jobs, yeah, call
Right.
Marguerite.
Right
Right,
here.
right.
Mom's
So
herb.
for me, it's been busy, and busy's good, right? Busy's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Want
yeah.
Important.
to stay busy. Family's doing well. Praise God. And so
Praise God.
and I'm just always happy to come together with my ladies to talk about some
Yeah.
natural ways to stay healthy. How's everybody else doing out there? Just hit us up and tell us how you doing. Because
How you doing?
we
How you
like to know how
doing?
you doing. How are you doing? Yeah, because we want to know. We want to know if it's more than just. I mean, telling us that hey, just trying to stay away from all the negative stuff that's going on out there. Because there's a lot of it going on. If we, like you said,
Mhm.
Marguerite, before we came on, you got a client that just keeps watching CNN. Turn it off.
Ooh, turn it off. Turn it
Yeah,
off.
you have to. You really
The
have to.
news is stressing everybody out,
You
Stressing
really have to.
everybody
unfortunately,
out.
from
And what do you,
local to nationwide to worldwide.
And the good
good,
thing,
Felicia? I'm glad you're doing well too. Because once you stress, what do you do when you stress?
man,
Yeah.
Just eat everything. Everything is, stressing. Just
That is a part of, and with the
eating.
pandemic, we locked in to eat
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well,
And
well,
when
we're
you
gonna.
when you get oh, that's
No, go
okay.
ahead. No. Go ahead and finish.
No, I was just gonna say the big thing too when you get stressed is you throw your body automatically into fight or flight defense mode. And when you're ready to run or fight, you're using your extremities, your legs, your arms. So you shut down the core, you shut down the brain function a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
your organs, and your immune system. They
That's
are
right.
like your body knows what you need at a specific time. So, in order to, move the energy around, if
Yeah.
you're stressed all the time, then you're compromising your immune system.
Yeah.
So that's helpful to
a good way to
remember.
explain it.
And that's helpful to remember, like, it's so important. Stress, like, is a silent killer, because over time it does damage on your organs, on your immune system, on your brain, and that. So
Yeah.
we have to
Wow.
find ways for self-care and to de-stress
Yes.
all year round.
Yes.
Agree.
I see Drew told us as long as she has the breath of life, yeah, she's good. That's
Even in this
Mhm.
season, that's
even in
the
this
attitude to
yeah.
have.
That's the right attitude to have. Well, we're going to go ahead for, and some of you already know who we are, but we always just like to introduce ourselves because we love new folks to come in and learn some things that we're talking about naturally. So, but my name is Dawn Haley. And I just love talking about natural health. Not so long ago, and actually, how many years? It was in 2013. Yeah, 2013. I was diagnosed with cancer, ovarian, that is. Can't tell you what level it was because I never let them do anything. I just had a good friend who happens to be on this panel, and that's Sheila Hobson, who, as I was going through all the things I was going through, just asked me, why don't you just start juicing? And so I'm like, what do I have to lose? So that juicing just led me down the path of learning about natural ways to natural ways to feed my body so it can do what it's created to do, is heal thyself. Now, of course, I'm not saying to everyone who is dealing with or faced with cancer, because we definitely want to say we're not doctors, we're not, we have no doctorate degree to tell you what you should and shouldn't do with your body. We are just sharing some natural ways to get healthy. So that's my story. How about you, Marguerite?
Wow. Every time you tell your testimony, it gives me like chills. It's just so, and I'm so thankful that you had the mindset that you had, and praise God, definitely.
Yes.
Um, well, myself, I'm Marguerite. They call me Mom's Herbs because I've been dealing with herbs for years. I love natural herbal remedies. And right now I'm really into the CBD, which is also a herb, cannabis, from the cannabis plant. And I'm with the company called Wakana. It's a Black-owned, woman-owned company. Welcome, Felicia. She's my Wakana sister. She just joined the business with
Hey,
me.
Felicia.
Happy to see you there, Felicia, and everybody else. Welcome. So yeah, I've been into the herbs for over 30 years, and actually, with tonight's topic, is kind of one of the ways I came into a healthier lifestyle. So I'm excited to hear what you guys going to share because I always learn a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm Sheila. I'm a certified health coach, and I love working with the ladies, but individuals and families, to talk about ways to promote health and wellness, so that the person who takes the lead in the family to make the change usually influences the rest of the family. And that's a good way to create a legacy of health and wellness. And I remind people that you are your own rescue, that you can become the CEO of your own health, and I can help you and support you through health coaching. And you can find me at She's Healthy too on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Looking forward to working with you. And hey, Teresa.
Yes, hey,
Thanks
Teresa.
for joining.
Thank you for
I
joining
see
us.
you.
Yeah, so our topic tonight is about food combination, or combination food, or how doing food combination.
Food combination. You got it. You got it.
It's been a long day, so if I screw up some words, please forgive me. But
We
yes,
do
food
already in
combination.
advance.
And yes, and I came across food combination, I would say about 5 years ago in my journey to get healthier. And how it happened was I decided I wanted to go to a naturopathic school or a natural health school. And it led me into food combinations. And so I began to incorporate it in my life, which I made from that point. I have made my husband crazy because it's like, no, you can't mix that up. No, you should be, no. And so that's how I kind of got introduced to food combination. And how about you ladies?
Well, I think this is a really important topic, number one. And it's one that I'm not that familiar with because personally, because I don't really use it. I've known about it for about 20 years though, because a coworker was struggling on her diet to lose weight. She was getting engaged and she wanted to lose weight and make lifestyle changes, right? So she could be all pretty for her wedding. And she came across a book that changed her life. Basically, she started the food combining. She told me all about it because she knew I was into health and herbs and stuff back then. And she lost weight 20 or 25 pounds. She increased her energy. Her brain fog was gone. And so she was just running around telling everybody about it. And I forget the book that she recommended now, but there is literature out there that you guys can research. So that was how I first found out about food combining. And I understand the principles of not combining certain foods so that you digest better. And so for today's show, though, I did a little research and on one of the popular health websites that I follow, Mercola.com. And he talked about, so I wanted to say that food combining is an ancient practice, first of all. So it has a lot of validity, even though some people say it doesn't really work or whatever. I always say try what works for you, right? Because we are individuals, so you have to figure out what works for you. But now this Dr. Pickering's that I want to talk about today, Dr. Wayne Pickering's, is in his 70s. And there's stories about him that he, at 20 years old or so, was overweight and had chronic stomach problems. And so somebody shared literature with him, because back in the day when you learned about natural health, that's typically how you found out about it, word of mouth or from reading a book. Now you could Google and research stuff, which is really convenient. But back then he talked about how somebody shared a book with him. And so he started the food combining and got rid of his gas and bloating and stomach pain and cramps and all of that, right? And so he exercises, and people say that he looks 20 to 30 years younger than he does than his age because of this, his standard practices. And I wanted to share some of the things that he said about food combining. So he's become a advocate teacher on natural health. He is a naturopath as well. Right. So we can kind of get this information from one of the experts. So 3 principles of health. One is, he said, which is so true, which is why I mentioned it, you're automatically healthy by design, and you're only sick by default. Now that's powerful, that you're healthy by design and you're sick by default. So that's like when you start a college course and the professor comes in and tells you everybody has an A to start with in this class, but you can work your way down into an F, or you could choose to have a B or whatever, but we all have a clean slate and start with the A, right? So our bodies are designed by God to self-repair and self-heal. So we're healthy by design. And that's important to remember, that when you're struggling, like, your body is going to work right if you do the right things, feed it the right things, and use the right tools, right? So it's just a journey to find those tools. And Dr. Pickering's also said, you can't catch disease, you earn it. So if you're sick, you need to look at the root cause of it. It is something that you're doing or not doing that's affecting your health. And a lot of times we think that if you have a disease, it's hereditary. And there's like rare cases where things are hereditary. Most of the diseases that we have are inherited lifestyle choices. Like, our parents cooked a certain way, used a certain food, and we carry that tradition on, and we become sick and have the same diseases. And then the third principle, so the first one was you're automatically healthy by design, that you can't catch disease, you earn it. And then the third principle was you get well by what comes out of you. And so he talks about eating is so important, supplements are important, but there's also, 4 processes for healthy nutrition. And I'll share those really quickly. And involves digestion, number one. Number two is absorption. Number three is assimilation. And then four is elimination. And so you can take all the supplements you want. You could eat as healthy as you want. But if you don't digest your food, break it down, and then assimilate or soak up the nutrition that you have, then you're not gonna be healthy. And so some of the foods that block your absorption are like gluten, causes that leaky gut syndrome. So you don't absorb. You might be eating right and taking all the right things in, eating raw kale, the best vitamin C and vitamin D supplements. But if you're not able to break that down properly and absorb or soak up, if you're not able to assimilate or taken in so that your body is breathing the foods and then elimination is key, because now you got to remove the toxins. And so by food combining, the strategy is that if you eat the right foods in the right sequence at the right time, then it's going to help you with those four processes that I just explained, right? So so that's basically the four processes: digestion, absorption, elimination, assimilation, and then elimination. And then Dr. Pickens also talked about 4 principles of wholesome nutrition, which are to eat in season and to eat locally. And I'll just say quickly about eating in season. You're going to have fresher, foods that are at the peak of their ripeness and when they have the most nutritional value if you're eating in season. And then eating locally also helps with that same thing, because if you're eating watermelons in January, where did that watermelon come from? Yeah. When watermelons typically grow towards the end of June through the beginning of Labor Day weekend. And, so there's a few weeks in there, or like pomegranates grow, there's like a 6-week window for those. So you need to eat in season. So, because if you're eating, again, like I was about to say, if you're eating watermelon in January, February, it could be GMO. It could be traveling far to get to you, and it's not going to really have the nutritional value, the micronutrients in it that you would normally get if you eat it in season. So you want to eat in season and you want to eat locally. These things help with food combining, or they complement food combining as well. And then you want to eat foods that are attached to your physical activity. So if you're not a runner or a triathlete, you don't need to have all the extra protein in that. A young man that I watched grow up, who's on Instagram now as a fitness trainer, is Hoy Pro. And he has his, on Instagram, he's sharing like he eats 4 eggs a day. He eats oatmeal every day, and he has a protein shake, and that's his breakfast. Now, since I don't exercise like that, and I'm kind of sedentary doing my work sometimes, I can't afford to eat like that. So you got to also remember to eat like based on your activity while you're doing your food combining. And then choose foods that you digest well, of course. And then as a side note, your thoughts are important. So this is something that Pickering's shared that I really agree with. Your thoughts control everything. And so you want to, give gratitude for your food. Be grateful.
Yes.
Positive thoughts.
Yes.
If you eat a donut and you say, oh man, I just messed up, I blew it, I'm going to always keep this weight on me. You will. You have to say, man, I had the donut, I enjoyed it, it was good, but now I'm going to go back and, get back on my program, so those are the basic things that I wanted to share in terms of the commandments for food combining. There's no proteins don't go with starch. Your fruits and vegetables shouldn't come in the same meal, which is, we just kind of chronically have our salads and we throw everything in there together, our meat, our protein, our berries, our fruit, and some starches. And that's not a good way to digest. I used to hang out with this guy, and he used to always eat his food like one at a time, separate. And I was like, that's so weird. Why do you do that? Well, he was practicing some version of food combining. So that the foods that digest first, he would eat those first, and then put the things that take longer to digest, because it's going to help with that, assimilation, absorption, and elimination that we talked about a minute ago. And so I guess if I have another minute, I could say Dr. Pickering's also mentioned, for him, this is what works. And remember, this is a guy that they say looks 20 or 30 years younger than he is. He said he eats fruit in the morning. He's also known as the mango man, if you want to research. But he eats fruit in the morning, and then his heaviest meal is in the afternoon, where he has his starches, which are heavier to digest, and takes longer to digest. And then he'll have for dinner a smaller portion of protein. So it's like a medium-sized breakfast, a fuller lunch, and a smaller breakfast, which also ties into intermittent fasting that we talked about before. And so those are the things I wanted to share, and I can't wait to hear what some of my hosts have to say on this topic as well. So I'll turn it over to Marguerite.
Yes. Well, thank you, Sheila. That was, as always, you always have a plethora of great information. So we just thank you, because you break it down mentally, physically, and spiritually, and that's how you have to look at the whole process. So thank you so much. We definitely appreciate that. And have learned something.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right, Miss Marguerite, you are
all right.
Yes.
So next time I eat a donut, I must say I feel so skinny from that donut.
That's what you have to say. Trick yourself.
Yes. I just felt skinny too.
I'm still good. I'm still enough. I'm gonna make it.
That is a thought with your thought process.
Before you start, I just want to say hi, Kay Robinson. Thank you for being on what you say you was on your big. She's watching us on the big Bog TV. Yes, so that means we're on Bog TV, ladies. Woo, woo.
Wow. I don't even know what that is, but
I don't either, but I'm a
it sounds impressive.
Telling us. B.O.B. TV? Is that B.O.B.?
B.O.G. TV.
B.O.G.
TV.
All right.
So Marguerite, you are up. So tell us, how did you start getting into food, or when did you start learning about and start practicing?
Oh, man.
So you are up.
Okay. Well, I can remember when I first learned, had to be in the 80s or early 90s. All I remember is a lady I worked with, one of my coworkers, was coming to work looking so gorgeous and radiant and riding her bike to work every day. And I asked her, what are you doing? And she said, I do proper food combination. And she said, read the book called Fit for Life. So I got the book Fit for Life, and it's been one of my favorite books ever since, by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond. They actually wrote 2 books, Fit for Life 1 and 2. So when I got the book, I went straight by the book, because I think they give you a 2-week or a month-long, day-by-day process, recipes, and everything. And so when Sheila was talking, it did bring back memories. When I first started, I was so strict with the Fit for Life that I didn't eat anything but fruit before 12 o'clock. Because like she said, they said, do not mix fruit with any other vegetables or meats or anything. Eat your fruit separately. And most Black folks, we was raised to eat your food and then have a nice slice of watermelon at the end of the meal. And I'm like, so all these years, we shouldn't even eat watermelon after our food. I thought about that when I learned about Fit for Life. But it's a lot of things. Like I always agree with Medina Nance, who was definitely a mentor of mine. She said, we're not going to ever do anything 100% a certain way. Of course, sometimes you're going to have your macaroni and cheese, you're going to have your treats or whatever. But if you can stick with the program at least 70% of the time, or, like Sheila say, find what works best for you and try to stick with that, then I think that's the best advice. But what I was going to bring up today is some of my favorite recipes. And because what I do is when I counsel people, a lot of people contact me when they want to do a great detox, a colon cleanse, or they're ready to start their CBD products, and it's like, okay, now what do I do? You know, people like instruction. Okay, what should I eat? How should I eat? And when should I take my CBD and all this kind of stuff? So I always tell people, well, maybe you might want to consider food combining, and you might want to get the book Fit for Life because they have great recipes. And I like to tell people that. And when I was doing a lot of the colon cleansing, people, the same thing. They want to know exactly how should I eat. So I was glad to be able to share the food combining. And Medina and I, we even followed a healthy diet suggestion we gave to people, because for me, when I first got into it, it was my way of getting away from eating a certain type of way and trying to flip over to a healthier lifestyle. So I realized that things like processed food, white flour, white sugar, white rice, and things like that, you might not want to eat anymore, the processed foods. So a lot of people are like, well, what do you eat? So I had a list right here. Like example, I like sea salt. Instead of regular white salt, I purchase sea salt because it's a natural salt. It's not processed, because the processing of the food is what robs your body of the nutrients. It's been processed to last longer on the shelves, but it's not really as much nutrient in it for your body. So try to purchase all natural salt, or you can season your food with other things like veggie salt, Miss Dash, herbs, kelp. There's other things you can make your food taste good without white salt. And then there's sugar. White sugar is the devil. If you read all the side effects and all the things that sugar does to the body, you definitely would want to leave sugar alone. I mean, me, I love sugar. I'm a sugar addict, so I have to work at it not to eat sugar, push it away, push it away. And when I sweeten my coffee or sweeten my herbal teas or whatever, I personally use xylitol. Xylitol is a natural sweetener. Is good for your teeth instead of bad for your teeth like sugar is. It tastes good. You can cook with it. You can prepare like if you're cooking for a feast time or something and you want to make some sweet side dishes, you can use xylitol in replacement of sugar. And the other things you can use it like maple syrup, stevia is another natural sweetener, raw honey, and agave. So here's like a list of things you can kind of switch around, leave the processed foods alone, and start doing your healthier replacements. White flour is another bad thing for our bodies, even when it comes to digestion and everything else. So let's look at spelt, sometimes whole wheat, but we're finding more and more about wheat because there's another book called Wheat Belly. But oat products, I like Ezekiel bread because it's easier to digest and everything like that. Mostly you'll find these items at the health food store. And then cow's milk is something that, like we say, cow's milk is for calves and human milk is for humans. So personally, I don't drink cow's milk. I try not to eat ice cream, cheese, and all that. Sometimes I do eat cheese, but pizza. But here's the replacement for cow's milk: almond milk or rice milk, coconut milk, and some people like goat's milk. Of course, for your babies, you want to give them the breast milk. And so that's also, and you have other great creams, ice creams, and everything. You can make homemade ice cream yourself with the almond milk or other ingredients, fruits, and things like that. And for meats, they say avoid the injected, sick, disease meats and replace it with organic, farm-raised meats, your beef and your lamb, your turkey, and mercury-free fish. They say the wild salmon is better than farm-raised. So these are things just to keep in mind when you're turning over to that healthier lifestyle and a healthier diet. You can even avoid your coffees and commercial teas and get your herbal teas, guys. And I love herbal tea. You can make it and sweeten it, put your lemon in it, lime, put your natural sweetener in it. It's delicious. And just try to be aware of additives like high fructose corn syrup, which leads to diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, digestive disorders, and acid reflux and things like that. So try to avoid that. It disrupts your liver. And look at the ever increasing number of how diabetes, especially for children. Now, something had to be going on. So all of a sudden, you're seeing more children with diabetes. So let's get rid of high fructose corn syrup. And they're getting tricky now because now they changed the name. They call it other things too. So read the ingredients or just eat more natural foods. What else? The MSGs, the food dyes, and all things like that. Just read your labels. So I do believe in taking your supplements. Just make sure you're getting high quality natural herbs. And CBD oil is awesome. It's helping people in so many ways. We even have discovered that we do have an endocannabinoid system. Our bodies need CBD. So if you start to take CBD, you'll find it helps rid inflammation. Like Don mentioned earlier, people are sleeping better by just taking one CBD gummy at night. Relaxation, anxiety, even mild depression, it helps. So I highly recommend that. It's not backed by the FDA, but it is a lot of studies. We have a doctor with Wakana who's an MD doctor. She shares studies every week on all the benefits of CBD. In fact, doctors did used to prescribe cannabis. So yeah, that's what I love about the food combining. And what I learned when I first started using it was making natural dressings with no ingredient. You could just take some oil, lemon, chop up some garlic, and put a little sea salt, mix that together, and that's a delicious dressing with no additives or nothing else in it.
Yeah.
Well, avocado sandwich. That's a good, properly combined
yes.
sandwich.
Yes. Well, I tell you, thank you again, Marguerite, because you also bring some great information on the table. And guess what, guys? The show's over with because I don't need to say anything.
That's true.
It's all done. No, but has anyone else in our audience ever nibbled or dabbed around with food combinations? Can even tried it for a moment and just share with us if they've had some successful responses of changing and sort of moving their food around as opposed to eating everything at one sitting. So share it with us so we can share that. But yeah, I'm serious. I really don't need to say anything, but I guess I'll say a little bit. I will say a little bit. I did, and you know what? I'm doing the background, so if I screw up a little bit, please forgive me. But anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation and kind of let you know where my head went 5 years ago, how I started to think about food combinations. So I'm gonna bring that to the table. And give me a second here. There we go. And I'm going to bring the slide on so we can talk about. All right, there we go. All right. Is this? Yes. So what I did when I started to think about food combinations, I kind of went back to our biblical ancestors. What were they eating? To give me an idea of how they did food combination. So if some of you know, in the beginning, man was a vegetarian. So they had the most pristine diet. I mean, all they dealt with obviously was fruits and vegetables. They probably knew, as Marguerite and Sheila said in their presentation, they ate the fruits and combined the fruits, and then they had their leafy greens. And they might have even, because sometimes you can combine leafy greens with your fruits and vegetables. I mean with your fruits. So that's kind of what I started. I'm like, okay, all right. So obviously being a vegetarian at that time was naturally the best way to go because the oldest man ever to live was Methuselah, if I'm saying his name right. And he lived about 969 years old. I mean, he lived 969 years. So eating fruits and vegetables were a very most healthiest way to eat. Now, when the Lord put meat on the table, I kind of noticed that a lot of their food combinations were with fish, melons, cucumbers, leeks, onions, and they probably use leeks, onions, and garlic to season their food. And then later, I learned as they began to consume more meat, they even combined it with bread and wine. So I'm like, with the bread that we're eating today, why can't we, in which I'll kind of go through it in my presentation, why is it hard for us to digest bread with our meat? And I'll tell you why. Not only were they still eating, of course, they were still eating their fruits and vegetables, but they were also eating honey. I'm like, I guess they added a little sweetener there. But you know what? But honey was also used as for medicinal purposes. So I know I stopped eating honey a couple of years ago, and maybe I got to start because, as you're learning things and teaching or showing other people, you kind of learn some things for yourself. And so I continue. And of course, as Marguerite said, you want to stop drinking whole milk and try to see if you can drink goat's milk. And why goat's milk? Well, goat's milk is easier on your digestion, and our biblical forefathers did drink goat's milk, and they used goat's butter on their food, and they also had olive oil in terms of adding a little bit of flavor to their food, I would imagine. The fruits, the bread, let's see, let me make sure. I'm jumping the gun. I don't want to seem like I'm real smart, but what I'm showing you right now is I got a lot of my information from my studies called the composition composition and facts about food. And what I learned, and I'm only going to try to deal with the left side of the column, the location, and the substance digested. The left side of the column shows you there are 4 processes of digesting your food. And I will tell you, folks, we don't fare too well with the saliva aspects, because what do we tend to do when we're eating? We like to drink pop. We like to have, different little warm and fuzzy drinks to try and, just make the meal go along or to swallow it down. And once we do that, we sort of impede the first natural way for us to start digesting our food. And that starts with the saliva. And so if we're impeding our saliva, then it's impeding the next process, which is your gastrics, which is the juices that comes from your stomach to help you to continue to break down your starch, your protein, your fats, and all the other things that are absorbed from your digestion. And then what ends up happening a lot, unfortunately, is undigested food ends up passing from your stomach all the way to your bile, which oftentimes is where food just sits until there's some sort of illness that prevails itself with us. So digestion it's important of doing food combinations, correct food combinations, so that one, it helps your body to digest the food. So the point that Sheila brought out was the processes of assimilation and leaving your body properly. So these are some suggestions, and please don't beat up the messenger. Beans, if you're going to eat beans, and most of us do, because beans is a very fulfilling meal. And with beans, it was suggested that you eat beans by themselves and not with anything else, because beans already contain 25% protein, 50% carbohydrates and starch. So it takes a lot of your digestive juices in order to digest beans. And most of us typically experience gas when we have beans, no matter how often we soak them. We still, some of us are still troubled, and some of us don't even eat beans because of the how hard it is for us to digest the food. And it was mentioned earlier, you shouldn't combine your vegetables with your fruits. Some you can, but for the sake of just making sure you kind of keep them separated, I even want to tell you, even with your fruits, your sweetened fruits, you don't want to combine it with your sub-acid fruits. And I will say this, and I can't pop myself up, because if I pop myself up and pop myself, I might lose my spot here. But I will tell you this: if you're interested in getting a short cheat sheet of foods that you need, you can that are good combination and poor combination and no combination, email us at vibeonhealth@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to send you that little cheat sheet. But that's one recommendation there. Now, meats. It's best to eat meats with homemade bread. And why homemade bread? Because if you go to the store, when you go to the store and look at all those ingredients that are in breads that are sitting on that shelf, it is just too much stuff that is in the ingredients of bread. So if you're gonna eat meat and bread together, I highly recommend you make your own bread using simple whole wheat or barley, or I think it was rye flour. That way, if you just gotta have some bread with your meat, then that's the way I would go with it. But you should never, ever, you see those X's, you should never, ever, 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 ever combine your meat with your starches, because what's gonna ultimately happen is that meat is gonna go undigested. That's why if you hear the old cliche, it takes meat a long time to digest. One of the reasons why is because of the poor combination. I'll just keep it real. And meats are great with salads, but try not to douse your salad with a whole lot of dressing, because I really say people eat salad dressing with a little bit of salad in it. You know, I cringe sometimes when I see people eating salad and they just pour all that salad dressing on it. It's like, you're messing up. It's not gonna help you. But I will end by saying meats are not good combined with acid fruits, because it's the same thing. Mixing it with acid fruits, it's going to retard the juices that's necessary for your food to be properly digested. Now, I got two more things to point out. Word of warning: most condiments will retard your saliva glands, which is the step to a natural digestion process. I might have screwed up the spelling, rushing a little bit. And desserts are already poorly combined. So there just really is no right or good time. You just got to eat your desserts with moderation. All right, so that's the end of my let's see, I'm trying to bring all my ladies back. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something out of that presentation.
That was great. That was great, Dawn. And where can we find this chart or this cheat sheet that you're going to give us?
Yeah, if you email us at, I'm going to put it in the chat. If you email us at vibeonhealth at
At
gmail.com,
gmail.com.
we will be happy to mail you a cheat sheet. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it I'm gonna put it in our chat. But
Yeah.
that's
Awesome.
that's pretty much my and as I said, I just had to look at how our forefathers, our ancestral biblical ancestors ate, because
Yeah.
that's the Lord laid out that plan, for them in the beginning. So I looked at, okay, how did they combine their foods,
Yeah.
and what's wrong with the foods that we're eating now? Let's face it, mashed potatoes just wasn't on the table at that time, and so mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, all those things just.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you brought that up, because when my journey for health started from was like a direct connection with me beginning to read the Bible and looking for answers for my life. And then I was keying in on the food, and I was like, wow, they had a certain way to eat. And so I need to adapt that. And I started aligning myself with people that were eating a certain way, and just like asking questions, and finding out all of these different herbs and foods that were good for you, and how to know to eat and season and stuff. And so that biblical reference is so such a great foundational piece. And for me, that's how I started. And you're right on that point about because I was like, people are saying, especially with the gluten-free movement that's been going on, 20, 25 years in California, but it's eased its way into in the Midwest in recent years, maybe for 10 years or so, that people are having problems digesting wheat. And so they're saying, like, go gluten-free or just eliminate the bread. And I was like, but they used to eat bread in the Bible, so how does that work? But when you study and research about wheat, you find that the wheat that we're eating now is nothing at all like the wheat that used to be 30 years ago. Yeah, it's like they show that the wheat was longer and now it's shorter. The way it grows, the way they harvest it, it's all different. Some wheat is GMO, even most corn is GMO, so you have to be careful with that. And so, yeah, I hope that these are some things. And I just wanted to mention, I have a note to land back on something that Marguerite mentioned. Agave was a good substitute for sugar. So sugar, your body naturally needs some level of sugar. So, to be in balance, it needs some sugar, some protein, some carb, and some fat. Sugar is the smallest amount that your body needs of macronutrients. So that sometimes when you eat more sugar, for your body to be in balance, it will start making you want to eat more things, more cravings. So now I need more fat, I need more carbs, I need more protein. I noticed that with my sugar journey, when I eat sugar, I used to want a lot of meat all the time. And then I realized it's because my body is trying to stay in balance with those ratios. So you want to, but some sugar, natural sugar, is good for you. But a lot of people point to agave. But when you research agave, it has one of the highest glycemic indexes that will throw your blood sugar off, and your insulin can cause insulin resistance. So if you do use agave, you want to use it just a very little bit of it. After reading up on agave, I basically stopped eating it, because that's one of my issues is sugar. So I'm like, I don't need, that's not a good substitute for me. But I just wanted to put that out there for people, because you do have to figure out what works for you. Like I always say, bio individuality thing. And I wanted to thank Naomi Jones for joining. I see you out there. And Stephanie Randall, who's another health coach, a new sister in the health and wellness journey. Thank you. We appreciate you for being here. So yeah, I'll turn it back over to you guys. I just wanted to add those couple of things.
I'm watching my phone messages, and Kay asked about kosher salt. What is your position on kosher salt?
Well, I think the kosher salt is like the the salt that we use. What is it called again?
Tables? You talking about
No, it's not the table
They
salt.
come in the blue box.
It's like the sea salt. Kosher salt is like the sea salt. It's just it. So the word kosher is typically aligned with it means that it's blessed by a rabbi. Is typically what kosher by definition means, but I think it's just a sea salt. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we come to that part of the show where it's almost the end. I had a lot of fun, ladies. I hope everyone else enjoyed. Verna said sea salt. Yeah. I have enjoyed myself. It seems like we just this hour just goes by so fast. Hopefully that at least I can ask, has everyone enjoyed some of the information? Just give us a yes. Is it something that we didn't talk about that you might want us to talk about before we have to say goodbye? Let us know, and we'll also have that conversation. I'll take a look at my phone. Okay, awesome. Okay, Kay said, okay, awesome about answering her question.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that once you learn about properly combining your food, it's kind of an adjustment because, okay, look at McDonald's and all the restaurants. What do they tell you? Get your fried chicken and a biscuit. Get your hamburger, get your Subway sandwich. All those things are improperly combined meals because you're putting your carbohydrates and your meat together. So it's like when I first learned that, I'm like, wow, how do I eat? That's why I do highly recommend Fit for Life because it gives you great recipes. And one good healthy sandwich, like I said before, is the avocado sandwich. People used to tease me about eating avocado sandwich. Tomato sandwiches.
I eat the avocado sandwich. Yes, I do, and it's delicious, especially mixing it with a little bit of lettuce.
And sometimes you can use the romaine lettuce to wrap different vegetables and make a salad, or use the buttered lettuce, which is kind of like naturally round, and put your like raw pecans in it, or your burger, even if that's what you want to eat. Another thing is as we begin to eat healthier options, watch your soy, because a lot of the rave for vegetarians and vegans is they eat the Beyond Burgers. And I'm not promoting or putting down anything, because again, you try what works for you, but you do need to in moderations, because the Beyond Burger is very highly processed. If you look at the ingredients in it, and you want to eat plant-based, so it's close to the way nature made it, the closest to the way God made it, to be even clear, is the best way to eat our foods. It's going to be easier to digest because it's made of the same minerals and vitamins that we have, mostly the minerals that we already have in our body. Since the plants and vegetables come from the earth the same way we did, there's some synergy there. And so those are going to be the things that are easy to digest, absorb, assimilate, and eliminate.
And it's amazing
tonight. Thank you for this valuable information, Teresa said. Thank you.
Now, I'm glad you brought that information out, because it is a craze now, and I'm gonna call it a craze, that vegan food is becoming more noticeable in stores now. And of course, it's better than the American standard diet. However, you still have to be mindful that you're not putting foods in you that has come from, and don't get me wrong, I'll be the first one to say it. Well, the vegetables are not the way. No, they're not. They're definitely not. You have to amplify more, and you got to be careful that you're not putting a lot of toxins that they put on the fruits and vegetables to make it pretty when it comes to the store. But you have to be really mindful that you're not just putting vegan food in you all the time, and you're not eating some of the naturally food that's in its natural state and feeling as though you're healthy because you're dealing with foods that are saying vegan. Now, I will say on the side of investing in vegan, vegan stock, the stocks are going crazy.
Trillions
But
of dollar industry.
in
$1 trillion
terms-
industry.
I mean, it's going there. They're going crazy. But in terms of getting comfortable thinking that you're eating healthier because you're just eating vegan food, it can lull you into a false sense of healthiness. I just want to say that.
Yeah, my client
Awesome.
today was saying somebody told her that they had some great vegan lemonade. She said, "What's vegan lemonade?" I thought all lemonade was
They're putting vegan and organic on everything.
Right.
So,
Still read your labels. Read your labels. By
just
all
read
means.
your labels. Read your
And do
labels.
the best you
Not
can.
even
Like,
watch that sodium. Even though it's natural salt, is still, if those that are struggling with high blood pressure, you're still putting yourself over the edge eating vegan food that's high in sodium, especially if you start to like it. Yeah.
That's a good point.
yeah, Vernell said, watch your salt content always. And then Stephanie Randall said, Himalayan salt. Yeah, pink Himalayan salt is good for detoxing too.
Yeah.
And Spike, Spike is good for seasoning of vegetables. I haven't tried that one, but I'll make a note
to
try
love
that one as well.
Spike. Yeah, Spike.
Hey, Azza came aboard. Hey, Azza. K Fingers, how you doing? Glad you joined us.
Thank you, brother.
Yes.
Appreciate you for good. Thank you all for joining.
Yes, really, really, really. We appreciate you because, we love coming and just sharing some natural ways to get healthier. And as I think Sheila said, you can't be perfect, or even Marguerite, you said it too.
Yeah.
I mean, we all just seem to just, have this synergy going. You can't be perfect, but
Right.
I think the number, if you can get yourself up to 70%, that's a good percentage to work towards. And if you're only at 30, so what? You gradually move up to 35, 40, and each day it gets a little easier because I think, Sheila, you said your body starts to crave less for it. So, your body's not going to say, yeah, I'm going to go along with this.
Right. And listen to your body. That's key.
Yes.
Listen, your body is always talking to you and communicating. If you eat and you don't combine your food properly, you're going to have gas, heartburn, problems digesting. Then you know right away something wasn't right in that meal. And if you eat and you feel tired and sluggish and you just, a little down, something wasn't right in that meal. When you eat, you're supposed to have energy and vitality when you eat fresh foods. I gave a friend of mine a ginger shot the other day, and he, especially sometimes when you're really depleted from nutrients or micronutrients, you notice right away. And he drank it and he was like, what was in this? And I'm like, just, water and ginger and lemon and a little cayenne. But you notice when you eat something that's good for you that you're going to feel different in a positive way. Absolutely. If you're eating and you're feeling, really tired, sluggish, and gassy, then you got to check what you're eating.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Having gas is a clear sign that your food is being improperly digested. So every time you got gas, folks, that's your body saying,
And some gas is okay, but you shouldn't have a lot of gas every time you eat.
I'm talking the one where you're cramping, where your stomach is cramping. You gotta move it. So you gotta move it. You gotta
work it around.
Yeah, but I want to end by saying I started taking sea moss, and I've noticed a little pep in my step. Yeah, and I'm glad I made my own sea moss, and it wasn't that hard. You just got to wait on it, depending on how you're getting it prepared, and then when you make it, it's there. So I'm feeling good about the sea moss, everybody. But this is truly. Would you like to leave a last word, because we're coming up on our hour? Would you like to leave a last word, Miss Marguerite?
I already shouted out my CBD website on the chat. It's momsherbs.wakandaforlife.com if you need any CBD products.
Yes. And Miss Sheila.
Yep. I'll just say you can find me at She's Healthy too on Instagram and Facebook. I'm here if you want to get a free coaching session. I'm happy to partner with you and support you on your wellness journey. And nobody is perfect. We're all trying to work this thing out. So keep going. Even if you fall down, get back up, make some changes, and be as consistent as you can. You got this thing. So continue to vibe with us.
And I just want to end, because my ladies already touched it. I just want everybody to be fair to themselves. Take one day at a time. Even if you fall, just get up and try it again the next day. And if you eat things you shouldn't be eating, so what? Just do better the next day and just make your better days better than your bad days. And just be safe out there. Get you some fresh air.
Fresh air.
Get you some fresh air. Get you some sun. I know the sun, the Lord ain't had that sun out there in a while. It's like, oh my God, Lord, when
It
you
was
gonna
nice today.
Yeah, it was. It was like, and I had so much to do. I couldn't get outside to get some sun. And just take care of each other. Take care of each other and try not to listen to the news, because if you listen to the news too much, it's gonna make you just constantly eat. So take care, everybody, and see us back in 30 days. We don't know what we're going to talk about, but we will know in the next couple of weeks. Okay.
February 9th.
Follow
Everybody be well. Be well.
Thanks everybody for joining. We love you. Appreciate you so much.
Yes.